What's up guys, I'm NKN. I'm an Eternity rank Mantis main and this is my in-depth Mantis guide. Huge. Now, I've come across a few Mantis guides already on YouTube, and there's only one made by someone who I actually know is a high rank and very skilled. Someone I've even played with and against, but others will kind of just fall in Grandmaster either very early on or Grandmaster now, which is kind of completely different. And I don't know if they really cover a whole lot, especially a week or so ago when the game was still very new and people just kind of played a lot and could get, you know, a high rank just by playing a lot. And, you know, a handful of guides just kind of go over the abilities and then just, you know, you watch them play. They just describe the abilities and then you watch a VOD. I wanted to do a bit more than that. And give more insight not only to Mantis, but just kind of the support role as well. Now I'm going to divide this video into sections. General overview, her stats, standard gameplay and rotations, as well as positioning, target priority. And at the end of the video, I will include one of my Mantis games, which was a pretty close game. Filled with very good players as well, good known players, and I think that will show a lot of good and even some bad habits that I have. So why Mantis? I think Mantis is one of the best supports in the game, with a pretty high skill ceiling in terms of flexibility and capability. She can keep her team up, duel enemies, and change the pace of games. Considered an off healer or an off support due to the fact that her heals aren't as substantial as others, and she's more focused on damage and utility. I think if you like resource management as well as self-reliance and have confidence in aiming and taking duels, Mantis is a great pick that allows you to play a very wide range of play styles depending on the matches. So let's talk about her stats and abilities. She has 275 health, with a base movement speed of 6 meters a second. She is already one of the more speedy heroes. Her passive grants her out of combat movement speed at 8.5, making her one of the fastest moving heroes in the roster. Her passive also grants her healing over time whenever she consumes a life orb. However, it's nearly cut in half from the normal 20 to 12.5 healing per second. Her normal attack is 50 damage per hit, and her projectile speed is 150 ms. It's relatively slow, I think, compared to others. And it shoots at 2.5 rounds per second. Critical hits do extra damage, although I can't find any information on how much extra damage. I'm assuming it is probably towards 80 to 90, or at least you can 3-shot another, I guess, quote-unquote squishy, such as another Mantis. Her F grants herself a damage boost, same as Inspire, for 8 seconds. Her shift is a sleep that is an AoE attack radius of 3 meters. It does 10 damage and sleeps enemies for 3.5 seconds. people don't really know this still, but if a teammate gets slept, you can shoot the Mantis illusion on their back to wake them up faster. It has 100 health, so it usually needs just a few hits. The right click does an initial 55 HP heal and then 20 heal per second for 8 seconds. This is especially important to take note, because with Mantis you can't just spam heal, you will quickly run out of orbs, and if you spam heal you only get barely over 200 HP healed, but that means you're missing up to 640 HP not healed because you're not letting the heal per second run its course. Her E is Inspire. It's a buff that grants allies 12% damage boost for 8 seconds and consumes 1 orb. It doesn't initially sound like a lot, but it adds up. Her ultimate is an AoE heal, healing an initial 200, but then 150 HP a second. And one of the most powerful things about this ultimate is that 70% of excess healing is converted to bonus health and also grants movement for allies. An extra 3 MS movement with anyone in her radius. Her ultimate is an AoE heal, healing an initial 200 HP, but then 150 HP a second, with 70% excess healing converted to bonus health. This ult also grants allies 3 MS movement speed boost for anyone in her radius. This lasts for also 8 seconds. And now, real quick, I just want to talk about aiming on Mantis. So up close, probably within 10 to 15 meters, you can just aim at them with your crosshair. But the farther you are, since it's a projectile, you're going to have to lead. So as you see here, even though like my crosshair is on the target, I'm obviously shooting pretty far behind. Now, if I put my crosshair ahead of the target, you'll see you're actually hitting the shots. So it's something to keep in mind while playing Mantis, is that the farther back away you are, the more you're going to have to lead. So now I will talk about kind of standard gameplay and rotation. Typically at the start of rounds, pre-engagement, you can kind of follow this. Inspire DPS, inspire yourself, which is F, and during the initial engagements, make sure your tanks have a heal on them as they're starting to fight. If your team is taking damage, focus on healing until the engagement is over or turning in your favor. If the fight is in your favor, take space with healed allies, inspire them, and focus on damage. If the fight is lost or you're losing, try to keep teammates up while kiting, while also trying to put in damage to keep the enemies from pushing further. As Mantis, because of how her healing works, you typically will grant healing and inspire orbs upon engagements, and then position yourself to spam in a way, and try to get in damage. With Mantis, I tend to try to pressure tanks first. I help my front line. If that is not working, or if they have a flank or someone on the enemy team that's out of position, I will turn my attention to that and try to either get a pick or do enough damage to make someone have to go back to their team or take cover. Essentially get them to stop doing damage, and then I will return back to my front line. I think pressuring tanks is just ultimately some of the best things you can do with Mantis, especially hitting headshots. You can get in so much damage, and you don't ever have to be really out of position to do so. It puts more pressure on their healers, so it forces their healers to have to keep their tanks up. So if their DPS are getting hit, they won't be receiving as much heals, and that allows my DPS to confirm kills. This doesn't always work though. Sometimes the tanks just aren't dying, in which target priority needs to change, and you may have to try and get a pick on DPS, or, you know, occasionally you can kind of sneak a pick on their back line, on one of their supports. And if you remember that crits restore a life orb, that is also a reason why tanks are nice, because you can kind of easily hit headshots on them. And the more crits you land, you will gain life orbs, so you can definitely keep your tanks up while doing damage and overall just sustain your team. Heal takes place over Inspire. However, if your team is healthy, I prioritize Inspire. Don't forget that inspiring also means that you shouldn't just inspire, not heal, and then, you know, go do your own thing. Granted, you have the life orbs. I usually inspire and heal a DPS, especially if one is looking like they want to take an off angle. So that means for 8 seconds, they have a damage boost and a heal over time. And I usually tend to inspire someone that I believe will get the most value out of the inspire, depending on, it could be tank or DPS. It just depends on how they're playing and the situation they're in. It's very situational. There's no always first choice sort of thing. But starting and sticking with DPS is, I think, an easy way to go about it. So real quick, I want to talk about her ult. Mantis's ult is a great counter ult, or a good way to turn the fight. It's important to communicate with your other support that you're going to ult initially, because a lot of times both supports can ult at the same time, which is never good. Then both ults are kind of wasted. In my opinion, Mantis should always be counter ulting. It can be used aggressively too, but initially it should be counter ulting. Whereas, assuming you have like a Luna on the team, Luna is used for, you know, sustain and tempo. Some other important things about her ult is that you can definitely die through Mantis ult, especially with, I'm pretty sure if you're in the center of a Namor ult, you can die. Psylocke can kill you if you're the only one in the Psylocke ult. So it's important as Mantis, when you're playing against a Psylocke and you don't have Luna ult, to make sure you're stacked with your team, or tell your team to play close together. So even if Psylocke does ult, you can ult and everyone will be safe. Now I will talk about positioning. So this will depend kind of on the team comps, how aggressive you and your team are, what your team heroes are, what the enemy heroes are. It can depend on the map, but there's kind of a standard to backline positioning, and I think it's very crucial to understand. So while ranking up, I have seen countless supports, even in Grandmaster, who just kind of stand in the open behind their tanks, especially on payload maps, often resulting in them dying. The goal as a support in general is to be able to provide value to your team while denying value from the enemy team. This means using the map and cover to position yourself in such a way where the enemy cannot see you or has bad LOS of you, while still remaining close to the fight. Being aware of who the enemy is playing is also crucial. It will determine how close or far you can stay around, or which walls you need to use, or buildings. But you always want to be close to the fight in terms of being able to heal and put in damage when able, but also staying out of LOS. So you either don't take damage or take less damage, or it forces enemy DPS to try and take a far off angle to aim at you, making them out of position and giving your team the advantage. If they have a flanker like Psylocke or Star-Lord, often you want to try to remain out of LOS, but never too far, because if you're flanked, that could mean you have a higher chance of dying. Mantis is a very good flank watch sort of character. Sometimes I'll position myself to be close to my team in the back, but at an off angle, kind of monitoring maybe a hallway or a corridor. So if an enemy DPS does come through, I'm already ready. I can get a hit and a sleep maybe on them, maybe even get a pick. If not, I force them back to their team, denying them the flank and the value of that flank. Target priority with Mantis is, again, somewhat situational, but it kind of follows this. Initially, pressure their front line, their tanks. If their DPS are out of position, punish them, and when able, put pressure on their backline. If their backline is also out of position, forcing them to take cover or get out of LOS of their team. My goal usually is not to necessarily get a kill, but to keep denying enemy team value by pressuring who is out of position, or pressuring the healers by putting damage into their tanks. So in a way, I guess you could follow that rotation of target priority where it's tanks, if not tanks, DPS out of position, if not DPS out of position, backline, but if not that, tanks. However, this game is highly situational, and I try to also just help my team where help is needed. There are moments, especially if you're confident, where if you see someone flanking, to go meet them and get a pick, you know, win the duel. I think that is fine and kind of built into Mantis's playstyle. However, you must always make sure that, you know, your team is either healthy, or, you know, you grant healing orbs and maybe an inspire or so before you go take that fight, since you can heal while technically not engaged. For sleeps, my target priority is usually flankers, but also backline. If they don't have anyone who flanks, I either try to disrupt a tank's flow by sleeping them, or I kind of just full send a sleep into their backline if I can potentially sleep a healer. I think that is not done as much, but very, very strong. Since if you sleep someone in their backline, chances are they're also not going to be woken up or hit. Hopefully not. But that means a healer would be asleep for almost 4 seconds, which means they are not healing for 4 seconds, which allows you to really pressure their tanks or get a pick on their DPS because they're essentially down one healer. And I'm sure we all know in this game how quickly fights can turn. So I do use sleeps fairly aggressively, but it also depends on who I'm playing against, if they have flankers or not. And then always try and keep up with enemy ults. I typically prioritize my sleep when I know there's an engagement where ults are gonna definitely be used, or if I can tell maybe, especially enemy strange has ult. I think it's really good to save sleep because your sleep can cancel an enemy strange ult, or if you can react fast enough, you can throw it down. So even though the strange ult will hit you and stun you, you can sleep the strange so he actually can't follow up on his ult. So now let's dive into a game where I will talk over kind of what's happening and what's going on, my thought process as I can remember it. This lobby had a lot of good players, and everyone, I think, was trying very hard. And I think there's a lot to kind of see from it. Okay. As you can see, fairly stacked lobby here. I will also go ahead and put a timestamp where you can just skip this to the start of the round, because the banning phase does take a little bit. So we banned Hulk first, which is a very common first ban. Especially, I mean, they have We're Amazing, which is, you know, like the best Iron Man in the game. So if they have a Hulk and he goes Iron Man, we will probably lose.
The right heroes could make all the difference. They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
So we have kind of a interesting team comp here.
I am happy to see you. And happy we will be in this battle together.
Wolverine, Sai, and Namor with a Groot solo tank. They're running 2 tanks.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feel better, fight better. Ready to do some
As you can see, I'm inspiring.
Here comes you need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
I was looking for the Psylocke.
I like the cold.
TP'd back. I missed my sleep. So we're up good. So I'm taking this off angle here. We kidnapped. They're strange. It's kind of unlucky. Chase down the healers. We have a really strong start here, especially because we were getting their tanks.
I am ready to put on a show. A chance to stop them.
So they use Luna ult, but we don't really need to ult then. I kind of just ulted to... It was somewhat of a waste. But I wanted to keep us up and get the point, because you will get your ult back.
Now might be a good time to stop them.
So it pretty much just... You know, if they hear that go off, they're probably just going to back up and give us point anyways. Instead of recontesting.
We are undefeatable.
I probably could have saved that though.
The grand finale. Better stop that vehicle.
So here I'm on cart duty. And we're they're just kind of like running over them. I don't know what's going on. I promise we get slowed down.
They've made it halfway. Stop them. I need assistance.
So as you can see, we get ulted here. And it's like I saw my Psylocke wanted to go in, so inspire, heal. And that also kind of gives them the cue that they are good to go. I think doing that makes your DPS teammates feel a little bit more confident. So Adam was out of position here. Sleep was just barely too low. The teensy. Maybe that's a little bit BM shooting still. I died, but we traded.
Circle of life.
So looks like we had used Luna ult for sustain, but we didn't actually get the push. So there's the counter ult to keep us healthy and engaged. So I'm trying to avoid damage from the high ground by hugging this corner right here. He's out of position again. I go help my Wolverine. Confirm the kill.
They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
Apparently that was an accident. So Luna has better heals than me.
Better stop that vehicle.
I'm kind of just on cart duty.
It's now or never. Stop them.
We keep kidnapping their tanks. They weren't really learning.
Don't give them another inch, or else it's the grand finale.
So we're Luna ulting for sustain.
Better stop that vehicle. Such gentle creatures forced into war. The current score is
So we make
0.
fairly good time, but this game is long.
Time to switch
There's still
things up,
15 minutes left.
including which side you're on. You'll need a top-notch team to win this one. Step aside.
So this map is pretty...
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
It's actually kind of attacker sided, especially first point, because first point on attacking side, you have the right angle.
We will get you back.
In this game, peeking from the right is always the advantage of peeking from the left. So when you attack, you can peek from the right, always kind of giving you an advantage.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake it up.
The enemy has arrived.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
So I'm trying to keep my Wolverine inspired as I can and healed. He already was taking damage.
I'm hurt. Focus on the battle.
So here, they have a Psylocke, so I was just kind of checking that. I can hear them to my left. So I'm trying to stay generally out of enemy LOS and also make sure no one is just going to flank through. So I checked the left here because I noticed my Psylocke is like running. Hit a sleep, but we lost our Wolverine there. So here I'm backing up and giving them space. So we're losing a lot of people, and it's better to not die. I definitely overstay here. So I was cut out. Ideally, you just keep backing up. Because now we're down to support.
I have some scores to settle. Ice up. Let me help.
Extra sharp. How refreshing.
So I got solo ulted.
It's the grand finale.
To be honest, that felt pretty targeted.
We are undefeatable.
Uh,
I have some scores to settle.
I think this was my third game against the NT MR 3 stack. make my way to ult to keep us up. Since they had LOS, I didn't want to use it like too early. So I'm taking this position because of this rock right here. Trying to stay out of LOS. So with Mantis, if you, I wanted to take the one with the Psylocke, but she ran, so it's best not to waste too much time. Psylocke ult. We got Happy on the Star-Lord above me. So they're doing a pretty good job with their DPS taking those angles. So Mantis generally is like a pretty high APM hero. Lots of actions per minute. Double flowering there to keep up the Groot. Because we have this corner here, we can just LOS and I don't have to use ult. We just play this corner. So I still have my ult, which is good. We shoot at the Star-Lord. So I counter ult here to match the Mantis. So that was an immoral. I saw that and moved to the left.
Back to the fight.
His movement's really good. It's hard to hit. Our side was kind of out of position. So as you see, we lost someone. So both supports, we instantly step back. I tried to flower our was a good freeze. Our Luna there, but our Namor was in the way. So I hit a sleep on the Atom. So lots of ults going on. I'm trying to stay very safe here since it's the last point and they're getting close. We were able to walk out and I very narrowly get my ult. They matched my ult. I'm slept. Dodge another Namor. Help out my Luna. This is a very hard point to attack. But also they have the right angle advantage here. So playing this pillar back here is very strong for support. And even though I could technically step up to like try to get into damage, it's ultimately like not worth it. It's better to just kind of spam and try to keep people at bay if I can. Getting the octopus there.
seconds. Watch me fall. Chin up.
Counter ult that.
The final 10 seconds.
Psylocke ults from above.
At least you're truly free now, Mantis.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
So our Luna right there is trying to stay back and stay alive.
I wish I could do what you do.
Ultimately, we do lose this fight. There's the res. I'm slept again. Happy on the Star-Lord, cleaning up.
The current score is 3-2-3. You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
For those of you who do not know, that is the ex Overwatch Pro Happy. Extremely good DPS player, especially on this game. So we are at round 3.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Spider was too loud.
Oh, what year is it where you come from?
What is ended? All that matters is now.
Don't remember. I'm just kind of running around.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Only 60 seconds left.
So they only have a minute.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
We get that first pick. So sometimes it looks really coordinated. That's because oftentimes there are comms.
Down to 30 seconds.
So we're kind of giving them space here.
Keep going.
We lost our Psylocke.
The final 10 seconds. You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
So I sleep him. I leave the fight. I don't know why I turned my camera there and I ended up dying, but fairly worth because their support was out of the fight.
The current score is
I'm not sure why
3.
uh
Time to switch things up.
Kurova was
Side you're on.
standing there, but
The right heroes could make
he got
all
caught
the
out.
difference.
His team was down a healer, my team too, but I'm being asked to ring for a scrim.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
So this has been pretty like generic, not overly crazy Mantis gameplay. Definitely because of the lobby being stacked with really good players. you know, Kurova, Raimazing, Happy.
The battle starts in 5, 4,
I do play a lot more safer and kind of just focus on spam from a distance and trying to keep people off my team as I can.
vehicle in its tracks.
So I'm at an off angle here, but
Better stop that vehicle.
I decided to back up. That was a really, was I lagging? I don't know why my sleep went off right there. This is a very hard corner. My Groot's taking a ton of damage here, so I'm trying not to step up too far. We each kind of pick up kills. Our Groot
3, 2,
pops off.
4.
I think if our Groot died there and they built more ultimates, that could have been bad for us. But we did end up taking the win. There you have it. I do appreciate you guys watching. I know this is a long video. I would definitely like to get in more maybe specific videos as I can get footage for. Let me know if you have any further questions. I think my plans are I'd like to make a video on like just positioning where I can, you know, kind of show what it's like on every map and kind of how to play around the map. It's going to be my next one, I think. But this is more of a, you know, in-depth, lots of talking, almost more like a lecture sort of video. I do hope it helped. I will respond to any comment. Also, I thought it would be cool to do VOD reviews. So I will have my email on my YouTube. Feel free to email me, link a unlisted YouTube video or something, and I will do a VOD review. And then I also thought that if the person didn't mind, I could make a YouTube video of me doing the VOD review, so I can, you know, show other people, and, you know, we can cover all sorts of ranks and play styles and stuff. I would be more than happy to do that. So thank you once again for watching, and see you guys next time.